Okay, this is Joseph Millson, session 5 of 6, I think, talking about screen acting, TV and film acting. So we've covered a lot. We just talked about screen presence and reducing objectives, working out what the scene's about, and then trying to get it down to one little transitive verb, one word that you were trying to achieve in the other actor's direction. So that's really good. Now, today, I want you to think about, or this session, you might be watching these all in one go, about applying that to auditions we're going to get onto. It's self-tape these days, auditions, or auditions in the room with other people. Before we get on to that, very relevant, I think, is another key note, which is my personal take on things. But I want to pass it on to you. The importance for film acting in particular of play. Now, if you're already thinking, what's he on about? I'm not a baby. Then I'd encourage you to have a look at that, because that's worrying about being cool. And actors aren't cool. Honestly, they're not. Because actors ought to be people who still, at the tender age of 46, any age, want to and are happy to play like children play in primary school and kindergarten. They play make-believe. You've still got to be in touch with that bit of you that is happy to play make-believe. And the weird bit is, as an adult, to be happy doing that in front of 20 strangers on a television set, and just between the words action and cut. I've just thought of something else there. I'm going to write it down for later. So, it's a game. Okay, there's a great actor you may have heard of, and if you haven't, go and look him up on YouTube, called Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. He is probably the most famous, what they call method actor. And there's a misconception about method acting. These people are dredging up personal experiences and pain and bringing their own life onto the screen and like bleeding out in front of the camera. Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't do that. And he is probably the greatest screen actor that's ever lived. He stays in character during his lunch breaks, kind of all night when he goes back to where he's staying in the hotel where he's filming. He wears the clothes, he eats how the character eats. He only uses kind of the shampoos and teeth cleaning apparatus that the character would have had. He is method. But this isn't. He has said in interviews, he just loves playing the game. He's playing the game, and he just happens to play the game harder than any other actor on earth. So that when the camera's rolling, it's almost cheating. He's been playing this game for 3 weeks, so he's lost. As kids, we sometimes got lost in a game in the garden of pretending things with our toys, or make-believe cowboys and Indians, whatever it is, army game, whatever, doctors, nurses, you can get lost in a game. I'm encouraging you privately, you don't have to talk to your friends about this. If you're watching this in groups and it seems embarrassing and silly, laugh with them, it's fine, it's daft, it's silly. But when you go away and the next time you have to do a bit of acting for camera, and the next time you have to do any acting, just privately, for yourself, nobody else knows, go contact that bit of you that's still a child and still loves to play make-believe. Because that, when you mix that with the playing an action to the other actor and still being aware of being on set, it's like keeping plate spinning. You've got to be aware of all the hitting your mark, but you've also got to play like a child, and you've also got to direct it to the other person and learn your lines well. But you can do it. Us human beings are very capable of doing all these things, but what not a lot of people talk about is the kind of childlike play element of it. And I think, again, go back to those actors you really love watching. Chris Pratt, let's say, a wonderful actor who's in Guardians of the Galaxy and things. He is playing like a kid. And even though he's had to wait 7 hours before his 20 minutes of acting while they set up these incredible shots on Guardian of the Galaxy, come that 20 minutes, like, oh, great, it's playtime. You can tell it's playtime for him. He's fantastic. So, quickly, so that's one thing. Okay, let's split this lesson kind of in half, but that will apply to everything you do, the importance of play. Now, auditions. I just want to say a little something about auditioning for TV and film. This will apply to theatre as well, I think. It is not your job to be amazing. It is not your job to impress. It is not your job to be better than anyone else. You've been sent a scene which you printed out and you've learned. Your job is just to perform that scene as best you can. And if you stop worrying about getting the job, while you film your self-tape, do not think about the end result that is this Netflix show, that is this ITV drama, that this thing, this prize. Just consider the actual audition itself as a gift. Somebody said, you can play this part for 10 minutes. For now, just let that be all it is. And if you stop thinking about the big glittering prize of the job that'll impress all your friends and earn some money and you can buy a moped with, if you stop worrying about that bit of it and just do the job really well for the sake of doing the job, the weird byproduct is you'll end up getting more of the jobs. Because I invented this phrase, I'm very proud of it. There is no deodorant for desperation. And if you look desperate, if you are desperate to get a job, it comes over and people sit back. When you're just doing your work because you enjoy doing your work, people sit forward in their chairs and they pay attention. That's hard to create. And there's an actor who's in a show called Breaking Bad, called Bryan Cranston, and he said this better than I just did in a wonderful YouTube video. If you YouTube search Bryan Cranston advice for auditions, I think you'll find this video. And he says what I'm saying. I already thought this way, and when I watched him in this little YouTube video that someone else told me about, I thought, that's the best way anyone could ever put this. So that's just a top tip for getting some TV and film work, is when you occasionally get auditions, or for theatre, try not to think about getting the job. Just consider this is the job. Someone's giving you a job. Because just for a moment, let's talk about other art forms. If you were a musician, if you were a painter, if you were a sculptor, if you were a writer, if you were any other artist, you can go home, sit in your room and practice your art, right? You can go home and do a sketch. You can write a song. You can sculpt something with plasticine, whatever turned you on. But if you're a blooming actor, unless you've got a script and unless you've got someone to act with and an audience who are going to watch it, you can't practice your art. So when you get an audition, just consider it as thank you very much. Here's an opportunity for me to do a sketch. Okay? And getting the job is when you do the full painting. But the audition is you've been asked to do a sketch. And just do the sketch. Do it to the best of your abilities. Whether they like it or not, whether they choose you or not, is out of your control. So don't worry about it. There's nothing you can do to affect someone else's taste. And the more you just do it how you want to do it, how you see it, the more you'll stand out, because nobody is like you. Nobody is just like you. There is only one of you, no matter what you look like, no matter what you sound like. You are individual and amazingly unique. So that's today's little session. Back for the last one soon.